In such uncertain times, we are all struggling to maintain a sense of normality. But for those with a learning disability who are traumatized, neglected, abused, as well as experiencing loss during COVID-19, life can seem ever more difficult than usual. Feelings of uncertainty and change have increased levels of forced marriage.
So when we talk about a forced marriage, we know that's very different to an arranged marriage. In an arranged marriage, both parties consent and they're free to go forward and get married. However, in a forced marriage, it's where one or both parties do not consent to that marriage and where force or pressure or duress is placed on them. In cases of those with learning disabilities, where there isn't the capacity to consent to that marriage, then that automatically becomes a forced marriage.
People with learning difficulties or learning disabilities are often susceptible to forced marriage because their parents are often seeking long-term carers for them. Often it's British boys that are most at risk. Reasons for this are complex. People think that by being married that it's going to be able to cure the disability.
As a parent, I have a son who's 25 years old and he has learning disabilities, so he's at a stage where he wants to get married in the near future. We are helping him to become independent in the community, and he does have understanding about marriage through visual experiences in the community as well as family and friends, and he knows what marriage is, but regardless he would still need an assessment. And this is where the community learning disabilities team in Tower Hamlets come in. When we are ready, or when he is ready, we would have to contact the team to come and do an assessment to determine his understanding about what marriage is.
It's obviously the domestic violence as well as the many issues as a community and many other communities face, whether it's forced marriages that come with so many cultural layers and barriers that people often don't even understand what forced marriages is, and actually that fine line between arranged marriage and what forced marriage is. And I think there is a lot of education that needs to happen in our community.
People with a learning disability are more likely to be feeling isolated, with restrictions placed during the COVID-19. This affects their social networks, a lack of private spaces to communicate, and limited access to online services.
We recognise these are really complex, challenging issues, and that most people don't necessarily want to prosecute their parents, who are often the offenders in these cases. They just want to feel safe. What we want to encourage is that people to come and speak to police, to recognise that we do care.
People feel fearful because of the unknown. They might feel that the professionals won't understand them, but I think as a parent I would say approach the relevant professionals and get support. If you have an open discussion, at the end of the day everybody needs to understand this is at the best interest of the young person, and it's not about the mother or the professional, it's about the young person and their well-being.
No one has a right to force you to marry anyone that you don't want to. If that is happening to you, please say something and speak to someone who you trust, an organisation who you know that can help you.
Founded in 1991, Respond is a national charity providing therapeutic and support services for people with learning disabilities, autism or both, who have experienced abuse, violence or trauma.
If you feel that in your marriage or in your relationship that you're unhappy, that you feel abused, that you feel unjustly treated, that you're not happy to be in that relationship, if someone is telling you that you have to marry someone and that you feel that your options are limited because you have to please others against your own needs, then again that's something that we can help you with, and unfortunately that is forced marriage.
We also recognise that people with learning disabilities are more vulnerable towards a forced marriage because they may not be able to express themselves. They may not have the support around them to speak out. And equally, the people who are forcing them into that marriage may well be their carers, their family and their friends. So we recognise it's very hard for those with learning disabilities to come forward. We also recognise that just because you have a learning disability doesn't mean you cannot get married if you have the capacity to consent.
It's important for parents to feel they can trust the professionals out there, they can feel safe, and to approach relevant professionals who talk about the concern they have regarding their son or daughter around marriages. I think it's important to have a dialogue with the professionals and to feel reassured they are doing this for the best interests of the young person.
If you are experiencing domestic abuse, forced marriages or any form of abuse, please get in touch.
If you or anyone that you know is experiencing domestic violence or forced marriage, know that many people are in your situation. And there are so many services out there that can help you to ensure that you and your family are safe.
No one has a right to force you, to pressure you, or make you do anything that you don't want to do. And that includes loved ones.
It takes a lot of courage to stand up and say, I need help.
There is help out there, people do listen. There are many success stories. I myself am on that journey.